So I wanted to say that, at least in my perspective, what I keep on thinking about is that I'm very curious about the knowledge graph that people are building around their, interests, priorities, and so on with their AIs. So I'm imagining that if there is some kind of standard set of prompts that you can send to your AIs, whichever you use, Claude or ChatGPT or whatnot, and then copy paste the response uh, back into the system. So the idea is that you register with a simple profile, then you go and copy paste your graphs. You can choose which ones, for example, you can have a socially based connection around your like social preferences, or your intellectual or a specific zone of interest in intellectual. And I'm imagining that it can be complementary to coherence. It can be its own thing. I'm imagining that it can be a social network just based on these prompts and responses, which can then map out based on proximity. But I can imagine how it can be a complementary layer in what you are building, um, so that people don't. What I think we're really missing is that, we often come into conversations like this and start from scratch. But really, if each of us carries along not just their profile, but like their graph of interest and everything derived from their AI, it will give a better actual footprint of who you are than anything else.
Yeah, so I mean that's a great idea, and that's definitely within the context, right? This is something that I'm really starting to work with in the coherence company. Is how do we help people build mental models of these AI fields? So that's why we're experimenting with this idea that we're in the field of coherence,
Mhm.
and everybody who speaks, it becomes part of co-creating this field. So then my profile is the sum total of the conversations I've had in the context of this field. Because we need to create mental models, it's important that we build this in such a way that it doesn't feel to people like a one more weird form of surveillance.
Mhm.
So to create the mental model that people are excited, we are here together raising this AI. We are co-creating it. And yes, we will have, so the next step is to add questions. So we'll be speaking to questions, and then we can have everybody's answer or thoughts on this question. And also now it is identifying speakers and recording this. So once we've had a bunch of these conversations, it can for sure give you a summary of the things that each of us has talked in this field before. That's a great idea. Uh, that's how I envision the doing the segmentation in a technically implementable way.
Mm. Um, okay. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we need to apply a lot of imagination, and we need to have the resources to experiment and try different new things, because it's exciting. It's going to be incredible.
Uh, yeah. What I wanted to share with you is some progress on this um podcast slash conferencing slash fellowship that I've been pondering with. So I found actually a number of partners, as I told you, that are willing to contribute to make it real, because we started speaking with you last year that it would be so nice to have some of biggest thinkers on metacrisis and civilizational transit and AI driven transformation, and all these different aspects, like have them in the room and have them interviewed and build up some kind of knowledge base, and that's where I'm aiming. The idea of that I'm building up right now. So is that the book which I shared with you, and thank you again for your feedback. It was really catalytic, and I started to think along those lines and explore them, and I see how it sort of resonates in other people.
Which one?
Huh?
Which book?
Planetary adulthood, the one that we discussed in January, 2 weeks ago. Oh, sorry, about 1.5 2 months ago.
Say it again. What's the title?
I call it Age of Transition or Planetary Adulthood.
Okay.
You don't remember?
I don't remember, funny enough.
Okay, so I imagine a lot is going through your mind. So when we started, you actually gave me a very thorough feedback on the book, Synapses.
Sorry. Feedback on your book.
On my book.
Yes. Okay, sorry, because I misheard. I thought it was some book I told you about. No. Of course, I remember. Of course.
No, okay, I'm good.
Yeah. No. I'm not losing because
Alzheimer is still far away. That's fine.
No. I misheard. I thought you said no. Of course, yes.
Anyway, I wanted to say that it's been really catalytic, the feedback you gave me, and I explored the theme of of course, as I told you, I've been thinking about metacrisis a lot, but I did not really properly refer to it in the text. So it is important, and I started talking about this with multiple other groups. And what came out actually was is like a double structure. So I see, okay, on one hand, I keep on writing the book. That's like Pavel Luksha and his intellectual exercise and whatever he wants to contribute to the world. But on the other hand, there came an idea of something we can call a living book and a fellowship around it. And in addition to fellowship, it's actually like more than just fellowship. It's like an ecosystem of three components moving in connection with each other. The fellowship, what we can call the knowledge spine, which is built primarily around, for the first at least year, primarily around podcasts. And maybe the book will be one of foundations as well, that can lead later to what I imagine would be a co-created AI book-like but library, where we organize this living knowledge around key questions, organized like a knowledge graph. And that is something that is collectively built by the fellowship primarily, and maybe whoever else wants to contribute. And then the third component would be a conference that happens once a year, but maybe there will be more than one conference. So I'm imagining easily that it's like an ecosystem of conferences of its own. So right now I'm partnering on that conference with the guy who organized second Renaissance conferences in Harvard and other places. And maybe the location of the next conference will also be in Harvard. That's we can still continue the collaboration with them, because he's an alumni of Harvard Graduate School of Education, and because I'm also coming from the field of education, it's like our collective strong point. Now boss is he's also doing his doctorate in University of Cambridge. Um, so there is like already very good academic ecosystem, like first year academic ecosystem that can back this up. I think that's an additional strong point. So I imagine that you and your like first of all coherence as such, like the tool you're building up, plus maybe a larger ecosystem around RegenOS can be tool providers for the fellowship. Um, so we can actually build up like a tech stack of different tools for the fellowship as instruments, but also maybe invite some people from the community to be actual fellows, um, and start collective working on this on all of this throughout this year and onwards, so that we kind of we already have like an early ecosystem of people that are working on this metacrisis and civilizational transit issues, and tools to support them, and coherence then can land there beautifully as one of instruments. Uh, so that's something that I was imagining, and then of course um the task will be for us to begin weaving it as you know as a real ecosystem with multiple connected uh, players that are holding different practices within this uh, system, like the weaving lab or Phyto network, and we give human practices. Uh, Coherence can give technological practices, and so on. So like maybe larger Web 3.0 community can even give some funding instruments, maybe RFI or DFI can be one of supporters to all of this. So yeah, we need to play with it. The idea is that the next gathering, sorry, that you use gathering a specific term, but the next meeting is proposed to actually bring the group together. So boss and I have created a first like seed text, which you can, I sent you a long version because you probably want some details. You will see some names of people, for example, we want to have interviewed in this project. That
So
maybe
yeah, I read it. I have one key fundamental feedback. Do you want it now or
yeah,
when?
always
So
wherever.
for me, the key thing for me to become super excited about this, the key thing that's missing is the AI tech component.
Hmm.
This idea, because what I see as my contribution, what I fundamentally believe is that tech shapes society, digital technology shapes society in huge ways, and also everything around sense making, collaboration has the potential to be hugely transformed by tech, right? And
Hmm.
we stand at this precipice of either the ultimate surveillance society or something that's pro-social, positive, and da da da. And there is
Hmm.
people that are working really hard on the ultimate surveillance society. I want to be on the side of people working really hard on the protopia thing. So this idea of wise AI, and I think that's where the interesting it also can connect with funding, right? And I think it's much more interesting at this stage to go to this AI companies rather than it is to go to web. They've lost energy. They've become financialized and run over by the financial industry. So at least, and I've talked to people also who are in this space, I don't feel, I'm not saying that there is no money there and it's not worth trying to go for some grants, but in general, I don't see it as a vibrant ecosystem, and nobody really believes that crypto is going to build a better future for humanity in and of itself.
Yeah.
But AI, I think, I mean, I understand I'm biased, but I think there is some important things there. And then also, since you're talking about this, and of course, Coherence Company as one partner would be great, but in having as one strand of this inquiry is this idea of in this new reality of AI synthesis and all of this, how do we sense make, and how do we produce knowledge and wisdom? And I think if we had that as a strand within there, it would add a very interesting angle to the whole thing. We can get some cool tech companies. I mean, at that level, it can become something you can go to Google or OpenAI or whatever, pick your favorite or least favorite AI company.
I like Anthropic actually right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're all, as all good tech innovators, they're sitting on a massive pile of stolen intellectual property, but it is what it is. Nobody has clean hands. So you just have to pick the one who smells the least to you. But then it's also a good argument. I say this jokingly, but as a technologist, I also see that there's a good argument to be made that there was no way to do what they did in a way that would have been with paying everybody. It just was like not a thing. It would be 20 years to figure out the legals of what it means for an AI company to use a book. So yeah, we'll have to decide if we publish this conversation or not. Haha. But yeah, I think adding this would add a really amazing angle to this, right? It's not recognizing that how we work with ideas is fundamentally shifting, and there is a huge potential, and using this idea and experimenting with different technologies in parallel with working on these important topics.
Yes. Yes, and I think that's why I look forward to this collaborative conversation where I hope you will not just amplify that aspect. We will certainly have it, no doubt. And I'm thinking more than that. Let's think how this fellowship actually, feeds the interests and the long-term objectives of everyone who's getting involved. So maybe for some aspects of this project we can fundraise together and maybe do it in alignment, in coherence with coherence, for example.
Yeah.
Also, I'm thinking about tapping into some.
So I would, if you're open to, send me an editable thing. I would add, you have the fellowship, the dialogue, the flagship convening. I would add for the AI. So building an AI representation of the wisdom that's created.
That's a good idea, because right now I buried it inside a fellowship. but it can be an explicit fourth component,
Yes.
which it's there, but it's hidden in a way, and it's because
And
I talk about tool building and I talk about the living book idea, the knowledge graph component, and so on. So everything is there in a way, but it's hidden as something that fellows orchestrate and lead. So the focus is on fellowship. Yeah, I think it's a
yeah,
good idea.
I mean, it would, for me, it would, I would be much more excited. It would be easier for me to invite and explain the kind of people and organizations that I want, because there is a lot of things to be figured out there, right? The permissions, clearly, we're not sticking to everybody. What kind of agreements need to be made? How is this published, right? Okay, we know how we publish a book, and there's actually like there's big machines and a whole, it's taken 200, 300 years, but then it's done. AI needs to run somewhere, right? How is it kept alive? An AI or a computer system is more akin to a living thing than it is to a dead thing like a book. I mean, the knowledge lives, but the actual form is fixed, right? So there's things like this to think through, attribution, all kinds of things. And that's a whole part of the exploration, action learning.
Yeah.
And it will, I think, so a key part of my mental model is that, and we're seeing this, is that people working on these systems need good data, need good inputs. And through these conversations, through this work here, we're going to generate some of the best inputs in the world. So it should be very exciting for people working on synthesis and other technologies to collaborate and to have access on this. And I think then if finding ways to synthesize knowledge and wisdom out of this is part of it, we can also collaborate with academic institutions. Right? And then it's not about this is D1 synthesis, here's what we have. Show us what your systems can make out of this. That would be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm imagining, Victor, that you can become like a curator of this whole stream in a way. I mean, I know you are busy with a lot of things, but
I mean,
maybe someone
if it's
within.
framed that way, right? This is why I'm shaping it. If it's framed that way, it's aligned with what I'm doing with the coherence company. If it's aligned enough with other things that I'm doing, then I'm happy. I'm happy to do it, and especially if there is some budget, then I can just focus on supporting people and inspiring. And also with the gatherings, of course, you are very warmly invited, and I hope that at least some of the gatherings there will be a camp of the fellowship. What is it? What's the high? Also, by the way, the word education, many people find it triggering. I think people in academia and in education like the word education. Everybody outside just remembers exams and like feels pain.
Yeah. The point is that Boaz and I try to leverage also the communities that we kind of anchored our earlier work with, and we want to connect. Actually, that's part of the story. Is that we want to connect. Yeah, for like two statements. So one is more organizational, that we want to connect some strong allies, like the entry point. This is the entry point to Harvard as through Graduate School of Education, and Harvard Alumni Network of 6,000 members worldwide, which are some of world leading educators doing some of the boldest experiments right now.
my strategy with naming is have a simple, ideally inspiring name, and put in whatever you want to stuff, keyword stuff into your tagline. So I like here, Fellowship Initiative for Civilizational Transition doesn't read good in English, or maybe it's academia but doesn't. The Initiative for Civilizational Transition, much better. And then you can have, so just flip the two. That would be my suggestion.
Flip into what?
Change the order. So the name, right? Because people want, and then they will shorten the name, right? So people want an easy name. So the Initiative for Civilizational Transition, that's pretty cool. And then you can have Educating for Flourishing the Polis Crisis as the tagline and the subtitle. Also, taglines you can change more easily. And you can even have multiple taglines for different audiences.
Okay, I'm making notes in our chat. You see, chat is missing.
Well, I mean, this is we're not quite using this conversation as it should be because it's not intended for co-working. But yes, I hear you. I hear you. Also, what's missing for me is the opportunity. After the moment, I would actually have a whole section. It can just be 2 paragraphs called the opportunity. Because it's an incredible opportunity, and AI technology is one, sure, but there is just general, like such a huge awakening, right? We have so much more self-awareness, connection. We have so many mental frameworks, regeneration, spiral dynamics. Like, I mean, you know better than me, right? So I think we need to balance people, the fear with the hope. So the opportunity is incredible, right? There's never been a time before, right? 200 years ago, what we'd be writing a letter to each other would take how long to get there?
Okay, I wish this conversation were recorded.
It is recorded. It is recorded.
Okay.
I will send it. I will send it to you. And the transcript is also made.
Send me a transcript. My best mode of operation right now. You taking the whole transcript, and I ask AI to parse it in the way that I prefer.
I will send you the transcript. Can I ask you in return to send me the prompt or the whole chat? Because I'm very curious what prompts you use.
Oh, okay.
That would be a great learning for me.
You know, I'm increasingly, like, I try to I move between primarily, like, I'm using how many eyes? I'm very active right now using Claude, maybe 70% of my time. And then I do open the chat GPT. I use for some things in which it's better, in my opinion, like it does synthesis in a way better, in my opinion. Like it is more wordy, but synthesis it does better. And sometimes I often use it as a second opinion. So something that Claude tells me, and then I take the same inputs, check with ChatGPT. If I start to get different results, I begin cross, like challenging them. They say, I spoke with the other AI and it told me this, and they, I missed.
Yeah.
I will challenge this, and I like how they interact. And then I interestingly, Grok has been, in my case, very academic and gave me a lot of really good up-to-date data. I also use Gemini so I use Grok and Gemini for more up-to-date links, because I feel like they are feeding on this massive amount of up-to-date data. So if I ask them, they would reference it better. But for me, Gemini is the most hallucinatory. If you go for more than a few prompts, it starts to hallucinate actively.
Interesting.
And I also initially started to use Notebook LLM until I realized how much hallucination is there. Because
so you found, because I wanted to start Notebook LLM, but I haven't yet, and you found it's not. I thought Notebook LLM was supposed to be like really on it, no?
It's supposed, but in fact, because I think a lot of people come with their data and it's not always good, it tries to improve. And when it starts to improve, it actually starts to say things that you are not meant to say. And for general teacher who tries to make some presentation for students and so on, it works really well, because it certainly shows them, oh, you're improving. But in my case, when I need precision, when I know exactly what I want to say and it sort of misses that, I find it like it's misleading, because like my level of precision it doesn't get. And it starts to invent things instead, and I can spot it, because because I work on a different level and I pay attention a lot to words, like is this missing and so on.
So see, this is exactly why for the I need a name. I'm going to call it the initiative, because it seems to be my style. There's something. So that's why for the initiative, it will be really good to partner with some people that are at the leading edge of working with this stuff, right? So that we get the highest quality that's possible. Right? See what I mean? So this is because right now, I mean, we'll be developing the capability, but right now, what I really see as the coherence company focus is developing the easy to use way to get people into it and to gather this knowledge, this information from them. But we need top level AI people, and the first passes, your prompting, my prompting, and this we can do. But to really take it to world-class level, it would be good to have some world-class partners.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll share all of this feedback also with Boss. Great food for thought. So I think it's also like depends on the lens, because you come with a very particular lens, which
of course
for me is super important. Before our conversation, I was in a conversation with a group of academics. We are now working on this book, Universities in the Age of AI. And believe it or not, it's extremely difficult for me to convey, I'm trying to say we are in Gutenberg moment, but it's like happening 100 times faster. And they are like, yes, and then sort of go back to like regular, like they're on some tracks, and they sort of lift their hands and then go back to whatever grinding they're in. And so I'm referring to this thing. Okay, here we also we need to pull people from academia and educational sector into this new reality, but they will be resistant. So we need to move with certain speed, but don't become too radical, so they immediately.
I mean, it's already the old. What is it? William Bohr quote that science moves forward one funeral at a time?
Yeah, but I think it's an inner funeral. This time will be inner funeral. So people will
Which
have
is
this,
even harder.
like,
Which is even harder.
which is even harder. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think, by the way, it would be great to share this with, if it's okay, I'd love to share it with Vladimir. And
Yeah.
I mean, we can only, I think, I would see the way I would imagine is there is kind of a 3-track approach. One is because you can only ask people to take one step forward from where they are. Most people are not crazy like you and me and don't leap chasms in the dark. So work with the people who are interested and who actively want to learn. And I think that's the initiative. 2 is engage and be in dialogue with the leading edge technologists that are already seeing into the future. And I mean, I have a little bit of a view, but there's people that have bigger views than me, and engaging them, right? I think we are bridge builders. And then with the traditional world, I mean, I think you just need to work with them one step at a time, see how you can take them forward. But definitely at the start, everywhere in the world, people are followers. And if they see something moving, then they move, right? That's why if you can have Harvard on the thing, we get Anthropic and Schmachtenberger and like a bunch of other leading things and do that kind of a thing. Then people would say like, oh, it's a thing in the world. Okay, like, let me pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, money and reputation talks, and in many ways, paradoxically, I think in the scientific academic world, it's even tougher because you need to show that you have a funded project and you need the reputation. At least in the business world, if you have the money flow, that's where your reputation comes from. So in some ways, it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, at least for me, and I think what you and I working together can bring is this synthesis, right? And we're going to have to get the tech people to start thinking about their impact on the world and the polycrisis and the metacrisis, and they'll resist because they just, want to build tech. And we'll need to get the metacrisis people to realize that tech is actually a big thing. And it's not, just something to complain about and regulate. It's something to actively shape. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of translation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's where the other point of, like, it's a kind of Trojan horse, at least with that metacrisis group, because we start by saying it's where the systems are producing this crisis of thinking, in so much as the crisis of thinking is producing the systems like that are crisis amplifying. So it's like both ways. It's a circular causality rather than linear causality. And in that regard, the tools are making us as we make them.
Yes.
And that has been one of things I was amazed to discover when I started working with universities in this AI transformation, that 85% of tokens that are processed are English based. The majority of corpus on which these LLMs were educated is English based. I mean, of course, but what are the implications? Because 80% of universities that are supposed to use them are not English based. And the vast majority of population that is getting educated are first generation learners. There, I think 60% of all global universities, and then like it's a real first versus third world problem, because the average budget of a budget of an average university is about 1% of what it takes to learn, to educate, they to what they invest into an average first tier model, like 1%. So it's basically 100 mid-tier universities is wasting together, like, or costing together so much as one model. So
Yeah,
it's
and I
completely
mean,
disproportionate.
from I in general, the so this is I'm a Ivan Illich radical anarchist, right? School of Ivan Illich. The current system is not designed to work and to scale to 8 billion people. Because this idea, we pay one person to teach others and all of this, it just doesn't scale. And it misses the most fundamental and most important component of A, it's not even human, but really mammal existence. And B, most important component of learning is we are all born to be teachers. Right? And okay, you know, I mean, I can't be a university professor in XYZ, but I can teach lots of people lots of things, as can everybody. And that's how we learn the most. So if we're talking about global transformation of learning for full inclusion of everybody, then we need to move away from the current pyramidical structures of paid instructors to circular mycelial, like natural human community. And then, you know, we can enhance this with tokens, with this and that. And, you know, there's so many ways we can work with value flows that will enable people to be teachers for people that are outside of their immediate community or family or friend group. So this is, you know, as you well know, one of the functions of money is, or the primary function of money, it's a collaboration coordination function, right? It's a coordination function. We use it for coordination. When we open up through AI and digital systems many more ways to collaborate, we can collaborate without money on many more things. I'm by no way claiming it can replace everything, but we could do much more without money. So all of these kinds of things, and when it comes to learning, it's well researched. Teaching people is one of the best ways to learn stuff. And the system completely doesn't use that. So yes, when we have a system that wastes a huge amount of its potential on bureaucracy, now on buildings, because, you know, we don't need so many buildings, can do it remotely, on people being paid to, it's just not a system that, it doesn't make sense, right? The university system was built for the nobility and for the nobility in the 17th century, right? Scaled pretty good through the industrial era. It's not going to continue the same form at this scale. And I think there is, if we talk about education, there's this whole crisis of payment, right? Universities don't have money, but education already, like even in Canada, which is a very stable, fairly normal country, I think it probably costs 4 or 5 times as it did when I went to school barely 30 years ago. Clearly something is not working. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. My inspiration, I would love to bring in the AI, the opportunity, finding and the AI both to work with some companies to get sponsorship and their technology, and also to connect with researchers, right? So we make this a mastermind, not just of the greatest thinkers about the polycrisis, but a mastermind of the greatest thinkers on how to use AI for sense making, creating wisdom.
Mhm. Sounds awesome.
Cool. Great. Are we good for today?
We are. Please send me the script
Yep.
whenever you have it. You told me I have to send you something